Diamonds co-founder and managing director, Tobias Kormind. Welcome, Tobias.
Hi, thank you very much for having me.
So,
I'm not sure I can save the day, though. I think you're asking for too much.
Tobias, we just need your expertise because we love a juicy bit of gossip. So tell me about these stones. We have heard that some of the metals that make these older priceless pieces may actually not be as pure as the metals used for jewelry now. Is it the same with some of the stones? Are they not quite the caliber that we're used to seeing in jewelry stores today?
Yeah, so that definitely the quality of some of the stones are a little bit lower, but on some of them. So there was a lot less choice when stones were around before the larger discoveries in South Africa and Russia. So a lot of these diamonds and stones will come from places like India, which was mined a much longer time ago and had much lower supply. But there's still a lot of very good quality. These are, incredible provenance, and it still was the best that they could find kind of at the time when they made these pieces, because obviously people were really trying, Napoleon was trying to really impress and gathering some of the finest jewels and to show and to project power. So actually the quality will be pretty decent. I think the gold will definitely have more impurities, but you're still talking about a huge amount of gold weight that was stolen. And some of these pieces have lots of smaller stones, and you've got some really nice, big, larger stones as well. There's a lot of value that's been taken.
But Tobias, what about just the idea that they will be kept intact, all of these pieces, because they're a great deal more valuable, are they not, just as the artifacts that they are? And I think of if I was going to steal anything, I would have cut a canvas out of the wall, or a few, rather than stealing these and then trying to break up the pieces, particularly given the price, certainly of natural diamonds, has fallen in the last 3 years. Down, Kennedy and I were checking, falling for 1 carat down 27% just in the last 3 years.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And that's got to do with the lab grown, kind of coming into the market, as well as luxury demand kind of, reducing as a result of things we've seen in China. So China's the second biggest diamond market. And obviously they've had kind of a real estate crisis and consumer crisis. So that's had a huge impact on the global demand and the market. But yeah, so.
Wait, so do you think that the pieces will definitely get cut up, so to speak, and then the stones sold off? Or is it possible somebody paid these thieves to steal them in whole, so they can just maybe prance around their own palace, wearing a crown and a necklace?
With like a Napoleonic fetish, basically. So they wanted, and they must have these pieces. Yeah, it's very different. Unlike a canvas, which is incredibly hard to resell. If it's been stolen, it's impossible, basically. And there's no intrinsic value of the canvas itself. The paint, the canvas, it's all about the artist and the creativity that was added onto that. It's totally different with jewelry, right? There is an intrinsic value in the jewels themselves and in the gold. And so even though, of course, they're worth infinitely more because of the provenance and the heritage, and what they represent, and they're priceless, state jewels from France, basically. So I mean, the problem is that if someone has ordered these to hold in their vault, they can never resell it, and they can admire it and enjoy it themselves. But to be honest with you, because of the intrinsic value, it's very unlikely that someone has done that.
Tobias Kormind, thank you so much, Tobias. Hopefully, when they find them, if they do, we will have you back.
Yes.
Or even just to talk about jewelry.
And if I'm wearing giant Ceylon sapphires, I got them off Amazon. Wink.
I do hope they find them, because that has happened before.
Yes.
Indeed.
The Mona Lisa was stolen in 2011, but I gave it back.